Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In today's video there's two stories and both of them have updates, so let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user PotentialLet3651. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents to keep all the money they stole from me while I was in university and shove it up their ass? I got a job while I was in high school. It was with a friend of my father. I put away most of it and just bought myself some stuff I wanted, but my parents wouldn't buy it for me. My parents aren't rich, but they are well enough. They wanted me to appreciate that material goods were paid for with my time. I didn't mind. I bought myself a PS4 and some games, which they made me share with my younger brother and sister. Once again, I didn't mind. I mostly played while they did homework or slept. When I graduated from high school, they said I had to start paying rent. That sucked because I was going to university in the fall and I was hoping to save up over the summer so I could work less during the school year. So I worked my ass off in school and at work. I ended up getting a job loading delivery trucks before school, and that sucked because I went to sleep at 7 p.m. most nights so I could get up early and go to work. I'm about to graduate and I have found a job in another province. I have already started doing my own boarding and online training. I will go from graduation to loading my car to leave. My parents had a graduation party for me where they tried to present me with a check for all the rent I paid plus a pittance in interest. I looked at the check for about a minute and started laughing. All I could think of was the fact that I had no social life during university because I was working. I didn't have any money in investments like my friends did because they were taking my money. I asked them how they were doing this for my sister and they said they weren't since she wasn't working while she went to school. I tore up the check and told them to shove it up their asses. I told them that when they compensated me for all the sleep I lost, 4 years of no social life during university, and 4 summer vacations, I would speak to them again. I told my little brother not to get a job or they would F him over too. I went to my room and grabbed my computer, some clothes, my PS4 and my toiletries. My brother and sister can play on the PS5 my parents bought for the family. They were yelling at me the whole time. I said if they touched me or tried to stop me, I would call the cops. I loaded up my car, which I paid for, I insure and is registered to me, and I drove to my friend's parents' house and had a bit of a breakdown. Her parents let me stay there since she is always at university in another city. I blocked my parents and my brother and sister. I have already given notice at my job, so I called my boss and told him I was sick and would not be available for my last week. He said he understood and laughed. He said he was surprised I had kept working this close to graduation. My grandfather called me to talk a couple of days later. We went to Timmy's and he let me unload everything I felt. They took money from me that I could have used to make my life better. I didn't even have time for a girlfriend. My entire university romantic life was hooking up with a woman I work with when her ex-husband had the kids for the weekend. He said my parents' heart were in the right place and that they thought they were helping me. I said they owed me for 4 years of fun, of parties I was too tired to go to, of social events and networking I didn't do. All the crap they were subsidizing for my sister and that they would end up subsidizing for my brother. He said he understood and hugged me. He is old, but I couldn't have gotten free of that hug if I tried. He asked me if I needed money to start my new job. I said I did not want anything that came from my parents. He gave me a cashier's check for about 3 times what my parents took from me. He said to use it however I wanted in my life. He said it wasn't part of my inheritance or anything. It was a gift from him and something my grandma would have wanted me to have. My friends think I was stupid to tear up the check. Most of them agree with me being pissed at my parents. Some family have called me to say I behaved terribly and that I owe my parents an apology. I thank them for the call or message and block them. I'm calmer now and I don't think I am wrong. But maybe I'm too close to see what I'm missing. Am I the a-hole? Well, in my opinion, no, you're not the a-hole, OP. I do think you're absolutely right or in the right to be angry at your parents. I think they did wrong by you, and particularly more so because they're not following through with every child in the same way. If they see that they've done something wrong and they're not going to do that with the others, they at least owe you an apology. Now, regarding tearing up the check, I understand the whole gesture, but that's your money. You worked for that money. They took it from you for their whatever twisted idea they had, but it is your money. And if you feel like taking that money would somehow have any strings attached, well then just cut the string. It's the interests. Give that back to them and take your money. Now, your grandfather on the other hand, he sounds like an awesome guy. He's definitely got your back. Still, he did say that your parents' heart was in the right place. And maybe they were trying to teach you something, but they just went about it so poorly and wrong. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Kratos3770 says, dude, the effed up thing is they think they were helping you. They want to take credit for who you have become, yet it was you who did it. Bravo to you, and congrats on graduating and starting this new journey of your life. I hope it's everything you want and more. Good luck, not the a-hole. Fish On Again says, make sure you keep up the lines of communication with Grandpa. He's going to be there for you when you need an objective ear. I'm 40 years old and would love to have that back. This may all eventually blow over or not. Stay true to yourself. It's gotten you this far and that's pretty awesome. Tiger Dance says, not the a-hole. How much were you paying in rent? I could understand a pittance, like $300. We have never taken money from our children. Son is living at home currently and working full-time, making over $70,000. But he doesn't pay to live here and we buy all the food. I would rather he save money for a house. And OP responds, $750 a month. And Aaron Jeffries says, not the a-hole in the least. There is a line between teaching a child the value of hard work versus grinding them into the ground. $750 a month in rent that they did not need is cruel and unkind. And meanwhile, they are buying PS5s for the family. So it's clear that this lesson they claim you needed to learn isn't one they feel the younger kids need. Work isn't inherently good. My spouse's neck and knees are permanently effed up from low-wage work his parents insisted he get to build his character. He's in pain every day and will be for the rest of his life, but hey, he got a job. Effing Puritan attitudes like that need to die. I'm sorry your parents tried to teach you responsibility in the worst way possible. Additional information from OP's comments. F my parents. They stole 4 years of my life. I could have gone to parties, meet women, make friends and connections, go on vacation, go on spring break, puke in the parking lot of a club, sleep with the entirely wrong woman, have my heart broken, meet the love of my life, break my finger playing flag football, play intramural co-ed sports, take a class that was interesting but not relevant to my profession, experiment with my sexuality, pass out on the beach, take a year off to travel, eat questionable food made in dorms by idiots, make memories besides loading trucks, studying, and sleeping. I paid for my schooling, all of it. It was me, a student loan, and a bunch of financial aid, not them. They can keep the money. It is worth it never to have to see them again, and I'm actually pretty happy with my decision. I missed out on a lot of networking events with alumni and faculty. The partying would have been fun, but they actively effed me over. And yes, I do resent my parents for how they treat me and my siblings. They wanted enough money so that I could not enjoy 4 years of university. I just paid them so I never have to see them again. One kid pays $36,000 for rent, pays for their own car and everything else. The other gets a free car and pays $0. I blocked my brother and sister because my sister agreed with them and they stole my brother's phone so they could contact me. Additionally, my siblings were screaming at me for telling our parents to go F themselves, especially my sister, who is in her second year of university and pays F all since she was smart enough not to get a job. Finally, about my coworker, she was great, but I was never going to marry a 32-year-old single mom. I was 18 and her oldest was 12. We lasted a while but never met her kids. We were just fun for each other and she is going to have no problem letting me go when I move out west. Well, the majority of the community judged OP to not be the a-hole, although he did get some "you're the a-hole" comments, but those were mostly downvoted. And OP gave us a little bit more context regarding the whole situation. So now it's time to move on to the update to see how the story ends. I'm not sure why, but my other throwaway got deleted. I took a lot of what you guys had said to heart. I unblocked my family and spoke with my parents. I agreed to meet with them for lunch today. We went to the keg and talked. They said they didn't realize how I felt for those 4 years. My mom cried and said she was very sorry that I felt like they didn't care about me. I guess they read my post before it got taken down and they are disturbed by what I wrote. They are also upset that my girlfriend is a single mom 14 years older than me. They asked if they could meet her and I said no. They offered me the check again and this time I took it and thanked them. I said I would come home later. I didn't want a scene at the restaurant if I took my money and told them I still didn't want them in my life. So after lunch, I went to the bank and deposited the money. Since we all bank at the same branch, it was easy to cash it. I made sure that the money was in my account, then I blocked them again. I have thought for a long time about what realistic things they could do to earn me back in their life. I can't come up with anything realistic. All would involve them living in poverty or a time machine. Every time they asked me how they could make it up to me, I had no answers. I wanted to say they had to pay all my bills for 4 years while I traveled the world. And that is great, and they could afford it. But then I am 4 years back in my career. All of my responses are like that. Everything I can think of F's me over too. So all that leaves me with is the peace that will come from telling everyone in my new city that I am an orphan. They reaped what they sowed. I plan on sowing my theoretical children with love, patience, attention, and equity. I swear, my parents better hope I am not in any way involved with their care when they are old. I will find the shadiest, most 60 minutes, most Happy Gilmore retirement home I can find for them. On another note, I just wrote my girlfriend a check for $4,312 to help her out. It was the interest on the money, more or less. I loved giving away their interest. I only have what is rightfully mine, and she will use it well. She is a decent person and she has taught me a lot. She works her ass off loading trucks, and she deserves something good in her life. I know that isn't me, since she was very clear that I was an idiot when I started developing feelings for her. She told me that if I didn't drop that crap, she would not invite me over anymore. She was not in love with me, and I was just convenient and willing to do what she wanted. Now, if you read the original post, you would know she was the only woman I spent time with outside of my classes and my home. She was my co-worker loading trucks. She doesn't love me, and while I am fond of her, I will be 3,000 kilometers away soon. And she and her kids will still be here. I am not asking her to come out west, and her ex probably wouldn't let her take the kids that far away anyway. It was always convenient, and we both knew that. Finally, I am seeing my grandfather tomorrow. I am going to make sure he knows what I did and why. I am also going to invite him out to see my new place once I move out west. I'm spending the weekend at my girlfriend's house since her ex has the kids. Thank you all for your help and advice. Well, OP, you got what is rightfully yours, and you used whatever they were using to cover their guilt to give it to your girlfriend and put it to some good. Also, your mom's apology absolutely sucks. That's a non-apology. I'm sorry you felt like we didn't care about you. Well, that's exactly what they demonstrated. Treating you absolutely different than they treated your siblings. That's not right. So good for you, OP, and good for you for keeping communications with your grandfather. He really has your back. So on that note, here's wishing you the best in the future out west, OP. Take care and thank you for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Addy Malin. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend she is ruining her child's life with the name she gave her? So I, 21 female, have been friends with Laureen, 22 female, for 17 years now. We were really close. She recently gave birth to her daughter, and she and her husband recently told us the name. they decided to name their daughter Giuliette, pronounced Juliette, and her middle name is Maria. I thought the spelling was a joke until she told me they were serious. I told her that the spelling of a simple but beautiful name was just going to ruin that little girl's life. She got mad and told me to stop ruining her mood and that I was being mean. I'm completely honest. The spelling is just bad. Nothing else can explain it. Why ruin such a beautiful name by including letters that don't belong there? I texted her yesterday and told her that the little girl would try to change her name or at least go by her middle name since it's normal. She told me to stop texting her, that I am a bad friend and that I'm being the a-hole for making fun of the name. I don't think I am. When I told her that the spelling was just bad, she went crazy. She told me that I was the worst friend ever and that I would never be able to see her daughter again. After that, her husband sent me an email telling me to stop being so disrespectful. He thinks the spelling is cute and it just makes her unique. Unique, yes, but that's just going to make that little girl suffer and she will probably be bullied for that spelling. I haven't replied and honestly, I don't think I'm the a-hole here. But I thought I'd ask Reddit since you all are the best to judge. So, am I the a-hole for telling my friend that the name she gave her daughter is bad and will ruin her life? Well, OP, personally, I don't think you're the a-hole, and there's a whole subreddit dedicated to this thing that would probably also think you're not the a-hole. The subreddit is called Tragedy, and it's spelled Tradeigh. Now, I understand your friends because they want her daughter to feel special or unique or something, but yeah, like they say in my country, se la cagaron en la cuna, which basically translates to, they effed her up in the cradle. She probably will get bullied, and that's sad because it's not the little girl's fault that the parents wanted to be unique, which also kind of sounds like a name, unique. Anyways, no, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Astute Primate says, "Hi, I'm a high school teacher. I'll tell you up front that you're right. Kids with effed up spellings of their names are miserable about 3/4 of the time. It's difficult to spell, people mispronounce them, and official documents? Forget about it. And we definitely judge parents. We don't think their kids' names, looking like they just picked 10 random Scrabble tiles out of the box, are cute and unique. We think their parents are stupid and immature, like contestants on an early 2000s reality show like Flavor of Love or something. It's one of the days we clock parents as potentially difficult. I keep in touch with 3 students who changed their names from their parents' spelling to the actual conventional spelling the minute they turned 18. That kid will be Juliette Maria as soon as she possibly can, not the a-hole." The World is on Fire 8377 says, "Not the a-hole. What people don't seem to think about is that these little babies grow up to become adults. First, imagine having to put Giuliette, aka Juliette, whatever, on her resume. Then some poor soul has to figure out how to pronounce it if they want to pursue her for employment. She will spend literally the rest of her life listening to people struggle to pronounce it, and she will either have to get used to explaining, 'It sounds just like Juliet,' or she will legally change it. She is setting her kid up for a life of teasing, judgment, and frustration on her part." And Leliana says, "I'm gonna go with not the a-hole. That name is borderline abuse and at least one intelligent adult should care for the little girl and her future. I get it, it's considered rude to push your opinion, but when it comes to a helpless child, then I'd say push as much and as far as you can, even when it's not your own child." Can you imagine the little girl getting bullied in school because of her name? Imagine her sending out job applications and work-related emails signed as Giuliette Maria. And Mrs. Chicken Pam says, it's okay to share your opinion tactfully one time. Anything beyond that, you're the a-hole. Now, as we saw, the majority of the community agreed that OP was not the a-hole. However, I did read that last comment because that's apparently the only one that OP read in her first response. So now, let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Update 1. Alright, I get it. I'm an a-hole for going after the name more than once. Sorry for that, LMAO. I just sent her an apology text for doing it. Yet I did write how she should try to look at it from another perspective. I also sent a few screenshots of the comments just for her to see what other people think of it. FYI, I'm supposed to be the godmother, which is why I was extra worried. My bad. Update 2. Hello again. I've been asked if there are any updates, and yes there are. So I've been talking with Laureen a lot over text, and she's slowly starting to notice her mistake. I apologized again, and we are good again. We talked about the name, and she told me that she won't change it and really loves it, but she is slowly understanding why it's weird for others, especially me. Her husband, on the other hand, is still pretty mad at me. He thinks that I took it too far and that my apologies aren't from the heart. Shrug. I've been asked if I'm still the godmother, and yes I am. There were thoughts of changing it, but now that we get along again, I'm back in the role. Back to the husband, he actually blocked me everywhere and is telling Laureen to do so too, because he thinks that I'm manipulating and that I'm lying so that we can get close again. Doesn't make sense. I don't know. Well, either way, it's getting better with the relationship, just not with the name. Well, OP, you tried, and probably that girl will change her name in the future, but at this point in time, it is the parents' decision. So all that is left to say is, I'm really sorry for that little baby, and thanks for sharing, OP. Take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.